Yo, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. Today has been an absolutely insane day in the NHL. Obviously, Patrick Kane signs first at like 8 a.m. I thought he was going to be the only washed-up former Hart winner that we'd be talking about today, but that is not the case, as Corey Perry has been terminated with his contract. And this has been the talk of NHL Twitter, NHL media as a whole for the entire day since he was initially terminated at around 1 p.m. So today I kind of wanted to run through the full story on what happened with Corey Perry, what the rumors that stemmed from it and eventually got shot down, and just overall what this means for Corey Perry, what this means for the Blackhawks going forward, because I do think it is a pretty interesting story and a story that has garnered a lot of attention. So I'm going to try to be respectful and cover this story right now. Up first, this started on November 22nd. The Chicago Blackhawks were playing the Columbus Blue Jackets, and kind of out of nowhere, Corey Perry gets scratched. People initially, myself included, I thought they either had a trade in place or they were nearing a Corey Perry trade, because although it is only late November, maybe a team was ready to pull the trigger, get a veteran bottom six guy at a half retained salary or something. So that's what the initial, everybody thought, oh, this is weird. A trade's finally happening. There's going to be some cap space being moved. Maybe someone's dumping a bad contract and getting Corey Perry in change. That's what everybody thought. Following day, it's very unclear. Corey Perry is listed as like day-to-day. Then a couple days later, Kyle Davidson comes out and says he's not going to be with the team for the foreseeable future. Did not give any details whatsoever on what that meant. But then a day later, Corey Perry's agent comes out and says Corey Perry is taking some personal time. So you have these two contradicting things. Davidson said that this was an organization decision to have him leave the club for the time being. Meanwhile, Corey Perry's agent's defending his client, saying it's personal time. So that's when eyebrows started to get raised, red flags started to get raised on what is actually happening in this, because you have two contradicting parties. Clearly, someone's in the wrong, and once that happened, and the Blackhawks did not give any details on what happened with Corey Perry, the floodgates just opened on the rumors. I'm not going to get into the rumors. Obviously, the main one did involve Connor Bedard and a parent of his. I'm not going to dive into it. You know what the rumor is at this point. In the floodgates, once the rumor mill starts, especially on NHL Twitter, you can't put it back in the box. It just gets out of control. So it just exploded in terms of that. The Chicago Blackhawks were conducting this investigation, and then I guess today they finally had completed that investigation and came to the decision to terminate Corey Perry. This is the official release on the Corey Perry release. After an internal investigation, the Chicago Blackhawks have determined that Corey Perry has engaged in conduct that is unacceptable in both violation of both terms of his standard player's contract and the Blackhawks' internal policies intended to promote professional and safe work environments. As such, Corey Perry has been placed on unconditional waivers. In the event Mr. Perry clears waivers, we intend to terminate his contract effective immediately. So yeah, it's not like he's going to the AHL. He is straight up getting bought out. And you can assume at this point, considering he does have a pretty big cap hit, he's going to get bought out by the Chicago Blackhawks. But as it reads, then it's clearly he violated something, but really no answers earlier today at like 1 p.m. So only added fuel to the fire. And I'll be honest, I did say, I jokingly tweeted like, oh, the rumors can't be true, can they? And then I eventually said, if the rumor is potentially true, someone will eventually sign him, because these contenders will do whatever they want in order to improve their team. I did not rampantly speculate, although I probably shouldn't have tweeted those things. I was not naming what the rumors were or anything like that, but NHL Twitter exploded. Everybody started to talk about the rumors openly and say what the rumors were. I did not engage in any of that, but people started talking about it, saying, oh, it's got to be because of that. I never believed the rumors for a second. They were way too outlandish, way too bullshit. That just doesn't happen in the NHL. Come on now. It's not reality TV. So for the next 3-4 hours, a guy like Connor Bedard and his family got dragged through the mud, and it was just really inappropriate. And in my opinion, eventually the Chicago Blackhawks obviously did hold this press conference at 5 o'clock where they said the rumors do not include any of the current players or families and are wildly inaccurate and frankly disgusting. And obviously I agreed. I thought the rumors were absolutely ridiculous. The thing with this, though, and I'm going to dive into the press conference, is why did you not include that on the initial press release regarding Corey Perry? That dropped at like 1-2 p.m. and then just 3 hours of unfiltered speculation. I don't know why Kyle Davidson in the Chicago Blackhawks PR team did not include that part about involving players or families. It does not involve players and family. You got to do that. You got to protect a guy like Connor Bedard. I think the Chicago Blackhawks as a whole not being forthright and saying, this is just the Corey Perry issue, no other player at all is involved. I think that was a failure from the Blackhawks organization. But moving on to the overall press conference, someone asked if it's a criminal offense. Kyle Davidson just called it a workplace environment violation and stuff like that. And someone asked if it did involve another Chicago Blackhawks staff member. Kyle Davidson said that he couldn't answer it, but I think you can probably assume that something did happen within the workplace regarding Corey Perry. Next up, in terms of the players, apparently from Kyle Davidson, none of the players know anything about what happened. I guess I don't love that. I mean, I understand why Kyle Davidson would maybe keep that close to pocket because he doesn't want potentially a leak coming from the players and getting out into the open. But that is, if I was a Chicago Blackhawks player, I would be like, you're just keeping us in the dark, a guy that we've gone to war with for the past 6 weeks. It's a little weird, but I definitely understand the logic. I would be kind of more open and transparent if I was a general manager of an organization, but this is definitely a tough situation for Kyle Davidson, so I can't really critique that much. Moving on, in terms of Kyle Davidson, he said, over the last 24 hours, what has gone on has been very disturbing, and I feel like I'm carrying that. It's really tough to see. So, yeah, clearly something disturbing did happen. I assume that he's also relating it to the Connor Bedard speculation, Corey Perry, all that, seeing that on social media just snowball for the most part over the last 24 hours. Yeah, it stinks because although Kyle Davidson did bring in a guy like Corey Perry, I don't think that you could blame it on him for bringing in a player. I'm sure he did his due diligence. Corey Perry has been a veteran for like 20 goddamn years almost at this point. So it's tough on Davidson because he probably does feel responsible for bringing in Corey Perry, but I would not blame him for the individual actions of somebody. I don't think that lands on Kyle Davidson, but as the general manager of the team, it's always going to kind of get brought back to him, which is definitely tough. And honestly, he looked distraught in the press conference. It was hard to watch. I mean, he was near tears at times during this press conference. It was that serious. It was that somber of a tone regarding it. And yeah, I could imagine the past week or so has definitely been tough on the Chicago Blackhawks, especially considering their history as an organization, considering they have covered up stuff in the past. They are rightfully so going to get absolutely no benefit of the doubt in this situation. Again, rightfully so because of what they did with the Kyle Beach situation. It is weird that they're not disclosing it really in depth. I understand from a perspective of if it did happen with another coworker, you don't want to expose that coworker. You want to keep her protected. I definitely understand that. But with the wild speculation, again, I don't support any of it. I don't think anybody should be wild speculating. But if you're never going to give answers to the fans, they're going to wildly speculate. If you just keep on saying, I cannot disclose this, I cannot disclose this, that leaves us as humans, we're gossip, we're dramatic people. We're going to kind of speculate on stuff like that. So in terms of this, I think the Chicago Blackhawks should have been more forthright right out of the gate and say this does not involve any of the players, assuming that is true. I think they messed up from that perspective. And just from then on, maybe keep it private once it was established that it was a workplace infraction, workplace in violation. But at the end of the day, I'm not trying to pat the Chicago Blackhawks on the back or anything because they just did what every organization should do. But as Shayna says in this, it seems like the team is handling the situation. Something happened, there was an investigation, and the person in the wrong lost their job. That is nothing. That isn't nothing, especially for this team, as much as everybody wants to know. So yeah, although it stinks that we're not going to get mic off, but we're not going to get the juicy, salacious details of what happened. At least they did go through an investigation this time. You look at with the Kyle Beach stuff when they just covered it up as a whole. This happened 10, 15 years ago. I think Corey Perry's probably still on the Chicago Blackhawks. I think whatever happened, I don't know what happened, but I think it probably gets brushed under the rug for a veteran presence like Corey Perry. That's a potential Hall of Famer. In terms of his Hall of Fame odds, it doesn't help for sure. I feel like it probably will never get out. He's a very fringe Hall of Fame guy. I know that's like not on anybody's mind right now, but it will definitely affect him down the line in terms of getting unconditionally waived, possibly his last job in the NHL. That's not going to help his reputation, not going to help his Hall of Fame case, but Yeah, just a really unfortunate situation for the for hockey as a general, not for the Chicago Blackhawks. They brought Corey Perry in, but just the disgusting overall situation in terms of the rampant speculation, in terms of what happened. Chicago Blackhawks did handle it pretty well, besides immediately releasing that it had nothing to do with the players. I think they really messed that up. They should have immediately done that, especially once the rumors started going. But overall, I'm not sure Corey Perry gets another chance in the NHL, considering there's a workplace environment issue. I'm not going to speculate what that means, but I have some ideas, and if they are true, he's probably not playing in the NHL again and not ruining his legacy, but it's definitely unfortunate to see from a guy that has been such an NHL veteran. But let me know in the comments, what do you think about this? And I'll be seeing you in the next one.